Ron?
Yes, sir. How are you doing, man?
Hey, good morning.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good. What are you up
Man.
to?
I just walked the dog and just trying to stay warm out here, man. It was 11 degrees this morning, something like that.
Yeah, my mom's back there in Virginia, and he is somebody that likes to have a lot of plans and stay super busy, and she
Right.
has to cancel everything and just like huddle up in the house, and it's destroying her right now.
Oh, man, but it's a good move to stay put if you have to. How long have you lived out there, man?
I've been out here since after college, so I've been out here since '99, so it'll be 20 years this year.
Oh, dude, you are totally a complete Californian now.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I always talk. My wife still thinks it's funny that I refer to going home, when I talk about going to Reston.
Yeah.
But it is. Reston will always be home to me. No matter how long I stay out here in Los Angeles, it never quite feels like home.
Interesting. There you go.
You can take the boy out of Reston.
Yeah, that's right. Dang on right.
Yeah. And she thinks my obsession with Reston music and this whole thing is a little bit crazy, but everybody that I've been interviewing seems to think it's awesome. So I was wondering what you thought the first time you heard about a Jam for Man podcast.
I thought it was great because it keeps the initiative and the main idea behind it of bringing people together and helping people at the same time. So I thought it was cool that you had named it right after that. I guess they still have it every year, don't they? Do they still have it? I think
it stopped in the mid-90s.
Oh my goodness!
As far as I know, it's a real shame because it was, as far as I was concerned, the best thing to ever happen to Reston.
And sitting right there at the community center.
Yeah.
Oh, man, good shows, good stuff.
Sure.
They were talking about like a putting everything back together and having like a reunion of sorts, just bringing bands that had played there in the past. But I didn't hear anything else.
Well,
this is probably
I'm working on it.
Oh, cool.
It is. It's the 30th anniversary of the first one at the community center, so the first Reston one. The anniversary of that is this year, so that's 30 years since then. How does that make you feel?
Pretty daggone old, Andy. But grateful nonetheless.
So where did it start? Where did your obsession or love with music come from?
Oh man, I'd have to say just listening to AM radio way back in the early 70s. Like my mom was a school teacher at Herndon Elementary, so she had to stay late. I went to Herndon Elementary for a little bit, and she had to stay late. And when we jumped into the car, there would be this is like 1973. There'd be like some Alice Cooper, some Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, all these like incredible tunes coming down the radio. I was like, ooh, man, what is this going on? And then Free with All Right Now really was like a killer for me. I was just like, that is just amazing.
stood in the street, smiling from her head to her feet. I said, hey, what is this? Now, baby, maybe she's in need of a kiss. I said, hey, what's your name, baby? Maybe we can see things the same. Now, don't you wait, oh, hesitate. Let's move before they raise the fucking rate. Ow! All right now, baby, it's all right now.
And of course, the Who and Pink Floyd and all that came later, and with me anyway, or discovering like Thin Lizzy, for instance. So that is what piqued my interest on this wonderful thing of communication called music, the first language, as it were. So I hope that answers the question.
When did you first get a guitar?
Let's see, I was around like 14 years old. I got a Vantage. My dad, who has just passed earlier this month, but
I'm sorry.
he was a big, yeah, man, thanks, Andy. He was a big proponent of expression, and he got me a Vantage from Melody Music in Sterling, I think. Yeah. You know, so, and it was tough going because I had no idea. I taught myself how to play, and I tried to emulate what I heard. So, yeah, right around 14.
Were you writing songs right away, or did that come later?
That came a little bit later. I had this one song called Tennis Lessons, which was like this semi-ska song, so it was probably like early 80s, mid-80s probably. So that I wanted to see if I could do. I was more interested in writing. So then once I combined the two, there was a whole nother like wave of curiosity that came over me. So I decided to shatter my life and keep on going. But not really. I'm just. But I just decided to couple the two to see how far I could go with it.
Was writing something you developed at school? Was that something that you were doing at home? Like,
yeah,
what form were you writing? What forms was it taking?
You know what? In high school, my English teacher, Mrs. O'Toole, didn't believe that I wrote an essay, and that's when I knew that I could write. She thought that there was a school teacher code, and she knew that my mom was a school teacher. So she asked my mom and was like, hey, did you write that? And they conferred, and they figured out. I'm not a Pulitzer Prize winning writer, but I knew that I had some decent, I garnered some decent knowledge from her class towards the end of the year, like a senior at South Lakes, so like 84, 85.
Well, it seems to me like your writing is able to capture these sort of like little moments that happen in life.
Wow.
It's these little snapshots, of whatever's going on.
Interesting. I try, it's more of a storyline. I try to let's see, what is the best way to put it? I try to encapsulate what I'm feeling in the story, and if that makes any sense. So I write down like a song title, then I start developing the characters, and then if it's good, I continue. If not, I start over and go down another avenue. So,
do you still songwrite like every day, or do you still have a process with that?
That's a great question, Andy. My wife, bless her soul, I have lots of little lots of little pieces of paper lying around the house with like ideas and like little bits of lyrics. I'm in the process of trying to get everything into one place and put it down and then go through and see if it's worth pursuing. But I do not do it every day. Sometimes it takes a long time to get in the right place, and I feel happy enough, or I feel enthralled enough to go ahead and start writing. But it's not every day. No.
So, going back to when you were 14 and first playing guitar,
Right.
when were you first able to jam with other people?
It's really funny, man. We went to Kim and Kelly's. They're twins, and they can sing like crazy. Kim and Kelly Butler were having a party, and it was around the same time, like 84, 85. It was, let's see, we went and we had practiced, and we had done like some Police tunes, and they wanted us to play. We were like, all right, we got our first gig. And after doing like Walking on the Moon, they came over and pulled the plug on us and said, hey, we're going to turn on the radio now. And that was kind of a soft indicator. They were very kind about it. But yeah, to answer your question, it was like probably 83 or 84 when Colin Sears of Dag Nasty fame was over at Sean Philpott's house for Pudwhack practice. And they were jamming, and I came in post haste and checked it out. And they had just finished practicing, and it was just such an awesome deal. It was like this whole new world. It's like, man, you can really dive in here and express yourself. And I don't know if a lot of people knew that Colin would come from Bethesda and play with Pudwhack in Reston, so that was quite a hike. So that was a concentric circle back then. So.
And was Pudwhack the only band that you knew that was out there playing, or were there other bands like in Reston at that time?
That's a great question. Let's see. That's the only punk band that I knew of. There were some R&B bands that were around. There was a go-go band that I was in called Unity, and unfortunately Dana Briscoe, the drummer, has passed on since then. But we got very fortunate, and we opened for Little Benny and the Masters in Leesburg, and it was like at a fire hall or something. So we got pretty fortunate with those kinds of gigs. And EU at the east side off of Half Street, that was thrill to meet those guys and gals.
You played with
stuff. We opened for EU back in like, oh my goodness, I want to say like 86. I still have the Globe poster. I could go back and look. It doesn't have the year on it, but that was at Half Street. No longer there. It's like the McDonald's has even gone down there. It's over by where the Nats Stadium is right now. So that's all. It's gone. I think it's all condominiums at this point. But yeah. So that's what we're doing.
That must have been a fun show. So were you always into go-go also?
Yes, man. We all loved go-go. Yeah, and it's really funny because, like, Saturdays we would go up to Chuck Levin's in Wheaton, and there's Big Tony from Trouble Funk just perusing the aisles, being cool, and very approachable. No attitude, man. Not like I expected an attitude, but, I mean, it was just so wild to see him off of the stage and right there, like, shopping. So it was really kind of a thrill. And that would be more often than not. He'd just be right there almost every time we were there on Saturdays. So
now with Pudwhack, did you ever play in Pudwhack, or
no,
not until Pudwhack became Foundation that you joined with those guys?
Right. That is correct. I was in a band with little Mike Marsky that was short-lived called Tooling for Bovine, TFB. And there's a song, I still remember it. I cannot believe I still remember it. It's called Oh No, She's a Touch Girl. And that's just like this this tune about this young lady that was very handsy and would like to talk with her hands and approach you and grab you and touch you and to make her point. So, and Dave Murray was on drums with that. I think I was on bass with a crazy 2-string green guitar that was thrown out some kind of way. I think Mike found that in like a trash can or something. I think Mike Davis was on guitar on that. And there are some tunes that were recorded around that time that I haven't heard in ages, so maybe they can dig that up.
I've been talking to Little Mike about doing an episode also. So hopefully,
Please.
When he comes on, we'll be able to get some of those and hear some of the stuff.
I
think he's out here in California also.
He is, man. He's been in San Francisco for quite some time, and he still chronicles everything. He's a walking punk rock encyclopedia. Music in general too. He's a big music enthusiast and all around good dude.
Well, somehow we were lucky enough to have a lot of those in Reston for whatever reason.
Right. And speaking of California and San Francisco, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Nolan Cook, who used to go by the name John Cook, who is in the Resonance. He plays guitar now, and he was also a big influence of mine growing into a songwriter or like expressing myself on guitar. Also with Lawrence of Bells of. He was from Bethesda and he gave me some pointers and some good tutelage, as did John Cook. But Nolan Cook now, but he was also from Reston. Nolan was, and has this awesome band called Land of Fendine. So look out for that.
Cool. Yeah, we'll check that out. Was Tooling for Bovine, is that a reference to cow tipping?
I think it is. Yeah, I think that is. You'll have to get the exact way that Mike wanted it to be used, but I think you're spot on that one, Andy.
I know guys who used to drive out to West Virginia or wherever and stupid shit like that, or go looking to try to pick mushrooms off of cow shit out there.
That's outrageous, but it sounds great.
The stupid stuff you'll do in Reston if you get bored enough. Right.
I mean, and that's the cool thing about it too, man. I listened in with Mike Davis on your former podcast. And if it wasn't for Mike, I don't think I would be halfway near. And also Dave Allen too. Very welcoming, very open, very artistic, and it's just amazing that, to your point, and Steve Niles was there too, that helped stir the pot, as it were. So, getting everything together.
A lot of musical talent right there.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It's really cool.
So, after Tooling for Bovine, somehow you transitioned from that into into playing with the guys from Pudwhack and calling yourselves Foundation, or?
That is right. I took, ironically enough, I played bass with Foundation after Dave Allen left. And they had already had the first EP on Fart Blossom Enterprises, Bill Durkee and Company, in Pomona, California. I'm sorry, it's Bob Durkee. I think it's Bob. Anyway, pardon Bob. Anyway, Mike had a slot for the bass position in Foundation, and we were doing some satellite shows in Connecticut with COC, Fang, and NoFX. It was quite a mind blower to play with those cats, because Reed from COC was friends with Mike and Davis White. And after those shows, we went on a little mini tour, which we have like 70 millimeter footage of that hanging about, with the likes of Warzone, Agnostic Front, 7 Seconds, another stint with NoFX, Fang, and I'm probably forgetting like a couple of other bands of that era, but it was quite a experience.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous lineup.
I know. It was really fun, man. So I think we did like a 2.5 week tour. It wasn't that long, but this is probably boy, Mike is going to kill me if I get this year wrong, but I think it's like, I want to say it's 86, 87. It's probably 87. So I'll go with 87. Sorry, Mike Davis and Davis White, if I'm wrong.
So, how did you feel about the band Foundation? Like, how did it feel to be a part of that whole thing?
It was great. Yeah, man, not to cut you off, Andy. It was fun for me because that was a big stepping stone in my development personally. And I later on found out that I liked being behind the guitar player and singer, which was Mike Davis. And I could just lock in with Davis and do a little vocals here and there. And we were very well prepared. We weren't as well received, but at the same time, we had this like lifelong experience in bonding. And it didn't end on a sour note or anything. It just kind of dissolved, and we went our separate ways or what have you. And we're still very good friends to this day. So,
you guys released 2 albums, right?
Right. The Tied Up with a Monkey was on DSI, and the Fox Brothers put that out, and that was also a DC label that they were kind enough to put us on their roster, and Dave Allen had already written the bass parts, so I had to learn the bass parts with Mike and Davis. And we went over to Inner Ear and did some recording. And later on, the Bloodbaths as well, with Don Zientara. And the first incarnation, go ahead, of Inner Ear.
Was that your first time ever, professionally recording?
That is, you're spot on, Andy. That was it, man. And it was really fun because, Mike Davis already had a real knack for knowing how it was going to be, and don't fiddle around at the end of the tune. Just let the note resonate or what have you, things of that nature. And I think the recording went well, and because we did a lot of practicing, and we knew the tunes. We owned those tunes.
Was there a hope for bigger reception from those records? Was that part of why things fizzled out? Did you guys break up, or?
No, I think we just wanted to do different things. That's the way that I saw it. I could be completely wrong. I don't think we were not looking for like a Grammy award-winning like release at that time or ever. I don't want to put words in Mike Davis's or Davis White's mouth, but to answer your question, no, I think we were just completely doing it to be doing it, and just having fun, just letting it go and having fun.
Well, were you trying to, I mean, you said that you were kind of playing bass and you were able to lock into the rhythm section and
right.
your role as part of the rhythm section there. Was there part of you that, missed playing guitar?
Not at that time. No, not at that time. It's really funny because once Dave Allen joined Branch Manager, Dave was kind enough to show me some little guitar tricks that led to another avenue of capabilities on just basically just enhancing the way that I play guitar and the way that I pronounce the lack of a better term, just the way that I present my playing personally. So I hope that answered the question, Andy.
So Dave, who was more of a bass player, was actually the one who helped you to become a better guitarist?
Totally. He won't admit that, but yes, that's the case.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny how you guys seem to, sort of switch roles and just sort of pick up where the other left off in certain ways.
Yeah, it's really wild, man. It's really, really wild how it turned out, and we're still doing stuff, and we're still writing, and Dave is now in a band called Murdered by Drifters. He would kill me if I didn't say that. Did you see what I did there, Andy? Anyway, but yeah, man, it's real cool, and with Derek Decker on the drums, it was just like this big canvas of endless possibilities. So we started, as Branch Manager, I'm going to do another pun, we started branching off from the normal punk type of stuff, but we still like to, throw you down the steps every now and then. So, with our tunes, of course.
Hold on, dealer. Here's another one that's seen its time, and I ain't sticking around here to watch it all unwind. This time it's all coiled up like a snake that's about to bite, and we'll unravel, we'll make two wrongs into a right. 'Cause life is scary when at home and feeling great. When I'm hanging in there, I'm finished with that scene, but you're unable to sit or calm me down. And where that leaves us is tied up, gagged and bound, about to be unhappy. Our world includes no sin, just a mind and body that lives on again and again and again and again and again.
How did you guys link up with Derek?
Oh man, whew, that's a good question. I had known Derek since like 1980 when we were riding like motorcycles at the Rough Riders. God, that's so long ago. It's where the Home Depot is now. It's behind there. It's all like condominiums and developments back there now. But he came aboard, and everything was like really lining up in like 93 or 94. And actually, hold on, that's when we started really like focusing in on our sound. But we had I was in a band with Davis White called Lawn Chair Groupie in like 1989 that had songs that went ahead and debuted at DC Space as branch manager. Thank you, Cynthia Conley, for booking us back then in January of 91. So that's how I gave Derek one of the 4 tracks of Lawn Chair Groupie, and he went ahead and took it from there. And Dave was interested too. He's like, hey, the songs are already written, so hey, why not? So there you go, Andy.
And Davis wanted to do his own thing, like he wanted to get out from behind the kit.
Exactly, and that's when Repercussion was born, and that was a great band too. My goodness, man. Whew. They were smoldering. And Davis turned out to be an incredible frontman, just like he was on fire, man.
Did anyone know? Like when you played with him in Foundation, did you have any idea?
No, I had no idea, man. That's what made it so great. It's like, wait a minute, who's this subdued drummer dude with a dashiki on? All of a sudden, he's like on the front mic at the front of the stage, just ripping and roaring lyrics that he wrote, music that he's fronting, and a band that he's completely a part of. And it's really quite remarkable to see the transformation, like you had pointed out. That's a good point.
And so Derek came in on those songs, and it was just seamless?
Yeah, man, I'd have to say that. It's pretty seamless, to use your term, definitely.
And so once branch manager in that form was born,
right?
How did that go from then
it's really funny because like we, all three of us, we lived in a house off of Burke Station Road in Fairfax, Virginia, 4019 Burke Station Road. Don't worry about it, policemen. It's all knocked down. It's all knocked down. There's more now. It's like they've got like 4 houses on this one lot that this A-frame house used to stand on where we lived for quite a number of years, and we honed our sound. So I think that had a lot to do with it. So we'd come home from work and just go ahead and pound away on some ideas in the basement there. So that helped us. And then one day, Ian had saw us probably at the old 930 or somewhere in D.C. or the D.C. space. And I guess he had gotten wind that he should go check us out. And he came over to the house in Burke Station Road and invited us to be on the stable of Discord Records. So, and that was like 94. The record came out, the first one came out in 95. And then the second and last one came out in 97. And we did like 33 opening dates with Fugazi at that time, who were touring on Red Medicine. So that was a pretty lucky draw, as it were.
Had you been a big fan of Minor Threat and Fugazi before that?
Yeah, man, they were always in the lexicon. I mean, and they still are. But it's just, I mean, the polarizing effect that both those bands have are still, like, outstanding and still stand the test of time in my mind. And yes, I'm a fan of both bands, so it was kind of like it was staggering to even have that on the radar, as it were.
So, I mean, Discord, was that a label that you had aspired to be on, or wanted to be on, or wanted to be involved with for a while?
Yes, I would have to say, absolutely, man, absolutely. There weren't any other suitors knocking at the door, but yes, totally, man. That was fun. That was a fun experience. And
well, it's interesting because a lot of the Reston bands, you know,
right.
a lot of the bands from the Reston hardcore scene, punk scene, found it difficult to break into DC, to playing in DC.
Yes.
And playing those places. And it seems like you guys, I mean, you from the very start, like you're saying, kind of had no problem getting into DC.
That is wild, man. I still don't know. I don't know. I can't even explain to you how one band gets in there and another one doesn't. It's just, I think it's kind of changing now, though, and it should be interesting to see what the follow-up is going to be for the next generation, to see how they handle. I think it's going to be a much broader scope of understanding and not so cliquish. I'm hoping it's going to be like that, but I have no idea why, right off the top of my head, why we sort of got in there and well, shoot, Avail was very popular outside of DC, and they had a really cool following for a very long time. So
yeah, but it's like they were able to get that following or get that popularity outside until they moved to Richmond.
That is true. That is very true. And don't know why. It's very cliquish. Like they had a lot of great songs and lots of fresh energy, and they're incredible, man. And Tim Barry's doing well with his solo career at this point, and Bo Butler's doing well with his life and all that good stuff. So, and Brian Stewart is doing well with his new lineup.
Were you aware of the other Reston bands and what? Like, did you know Hostile Environment, LDK, like those bands?
Yes, totally. And Pat Kennedy and Ruined by Design is the new Brian Stewart deal that he's still running with right now. And we did play a show in Reston with LDK and Learning Disabled Kids, which is so funny because my mom was an LD teacher, and I thought it was kind of neat that they had that moniker for a little bit. But yeah, the Hostile Environment with Pat Kennedy and company, we were aware of them, and we were, even though we were older, we still knew each other, to answer your question.
And did you go to see them play at those Jam for Man shows? Did you guys ever were you ever on stage at Jam for Man in any incarnation?
I don't think so. We never did any Jam for Man that I know of. I can't really recall. I'm sorry, Eddie. I'm not sure if we did, even though we were listed on one. So I'll have to check that out. Not sure.
Yeah, but I mean, pretty much all those bands were playing those shows. It's just interesting that you guys were in Reston. I mean, even though you were older, I guess, but not that many years older than those.
No.
And
not really.
Influenced by a lot of the same stuff, like probably going to see a lot of the same shows in DC. That you guys weren't necessarily playing shows in Reston or with the band.
No, we never did a slew of shows by any stretch of the imagination, but it was still fun to see them develop when we could, and like seeing them at the the Merrifield Community Center was another spot that was cool.
Branch manager, I guess, is sort of like regarded almost as like the Reston band that broke out, because Avail is essentially sort of rebranded themselves as a Richmond band.
Right. It depends on who you ask. But I see what you're saying, and it's flattering, and it is really cool to be regarded as such. But I'm kind of speechless to tell you the truth, man. That's cool and flattering that people do regard us in that high regard, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are sort of the standard bearers for Reston, in a way.
Oh man! Well, hopefully someone can shatter that glass ceiling.
I mean, you never know. Like, if Andy Wells doesn't pass away, like, and LD is able to stay together, maybe they gain, some more claim. If Hostile Environment doesn't break up, also maybe they're able to stay together. I mean, a lot of these bands just didn't have longevity either.
That's true. And Rest Well, Andy Wells. It's just the idea of them getting together is very, it's very polarizing because you always want to see how far they can go. And to your point, it's sad, but at least they did step out on their own and made some music, man. Made some freaking music. Some damn good music, by the way.
In terms of Branch Manager's music, what are you sort of most proud of?
Oh, man. Well, our second release, Anything Tribal, is really our only true studio release. There was the first one was a self-titled that had a couple of tunes that we had recorded years before, and we just kind of not hastily, but we just patched it together. But we wanted to go for a live sound in one session with Anything Tribal. So I think that would be that whole release is like sonically correct, and Ian Mackay produced that with Don Zientara, and he had a little input. We all had sticks in the mixing booth, but we got through it. And that, to answer your question, I think that's the one.
Cinco de Mayo, killing time. Doing laundry that isn't mine. That's the break, still chewing it back. After this, I gotta be the cat. Tell me what you say if I saw things your way. Would my cry keep calling you? Washing windows is a full-time job. So I quit, I couldn't join the mob. They turned me on, but they turned me loose. A two-time champ, so they call me Deuce. Yeah. Tell me what you say if I saw things your way. Would my cry keep calling you? A motive to believe, to let the peace first fly. While we're coming up empty, complete the circle and die. You'll cut me into bleed, to track the survival in anything tribal. Anything tribal.
What was it like working with Ian personally?
Oh man, very, very driven, not completely like overboard at all. If there was a take, he was like, hey, something dropped off at this, you want to do that over again? He would give you the option. He's very mild-mannered, very broad in the scope to what he was trying to achieve sonically. And it was fun, and we came in pretty well prepared because we didn't want to waste any time, our time or the studio's time or Ian's time or Don's time. We just made sure that we were like steady Eddie, as it were, just completely ready to go. And I think, without tooting our own horn, I think you could hear that on the release there.
For sure. Absolutely.
Cool, man.
So after that, I mean, how come are you only putting out 2 albums with all your bands?
That's so funny, man. Divorces, kids, wife, just, we're still, like, I mean, we still love playing music. All three of us love to play it. And Doug Kallemeyer, who is playing bass with Branch Manager now, with Derek and myself, we started back up in May of 2017 after a pretty long layover there. And he's doing a bang-up job. And once again, like, Doug had to learn Dave's really incredible bass lines, and which he did. He put the time in, and it's pretty neat, man. I think we've got a gig, let's see, March 29th in Charlottesville, Virginia, for those that are listening. And don't know the address yet, but that's what's going down.
Sweet. So is there a chance for a new Branch Manager album?
Yes, I will have to say, Andy, yes. There's lots of things in the making here. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to get everything in one place so I can see what might have a chance to make it into a song and present it to the guys. And we're going to practice hopefully soon, very soon, within the coming weeks. And we'll take it from there. That's our objective, is to make some new tunes.
That's super exciting. That is great news to hear.
That's awesome, Andy. Thank you very much, man. I will keep you abreast of the situation and how it transpires and whatnot.
Okay, and if you guys are playing, we'll keep a spot open for you if you decide you want to play your first Jam for Man.
Awesome.
I think that's going to be happening in July, and we would love to have you be a part of that.
That would be great, Andy, and please keep us in mind, and we appreciate it very much.
Well, so other than Branch Manager,
yeah.
you had referenced you played on the Bloodbaths album.
Yes, bass on that with like Colin, Mike Davis, and Colin Sears on drums, Mike on guitar. This really incredible songwriter, Charles Bennington, on the songwriting, and a couple of tunes with Roger Marbury singing and playing some bass as well on the two releases, man. Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I only did one show with them live at UC Space in like the summer of '88, I believe, something like that.
So you're kind of getting your old crew back together to play that.
No doubt.
And then you had another release, if I'm not mistaken. Was that a solo album or what? I'm trying to remember the name of it right now.
It's cool, Andy. It was called The Sons of Disobedience. It's from 2007, which is hard to believe, man. It's like 12 years ago. Or was it 9? Was it 7 and 10 to 17? Yeah, 12 years. Good God. So, yeah, that was like my buddies, Melvin Johnson from the Crucial band, Burma Jam. They're from Richmond. And DeHondo Smith on bass. So Melvin on drums, me on guitar, and DeHondo on bass. And that was just like a little project just to see where my songwriting would go at that particular time. So
you were kind of leading, but you were the one creating most of the songs on that.
Correct.
Yeah, man. And
Thanks, Andy. I hope to add to it, man, God willing. So.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what you were saying. So,
yep.
All of these things, it's sort of, like we talked about, it all comes from this collection of musicians in the Northern Virginia area, and all these
right.
people coming out of Northern Virginia. So, do you think that, or maybe I should ask, how do you think that growing up in Northern Virginia and living there shaped your music and your sound and your career?
Well, that's a great question. I think just having the freedom, especially in Reston, to completely just go with the whole the canvas of Reston. To me, it was like a perfect environment to collect my thoughts, so to speak, and to really just hone in on what I wanted to speak about, or write about, or just an overall general feeling. For being in Northern Virginia, that was like crucial, because as you pointed out, looking at all the other cats that grew up in a similar environment that were in, we kind of found each other, so to speak. So.
And do you mean just I'm not sure what you mean by the environment of Reston. Like, what Reston then?
Just like the trees, the quietness, the cleanliness, the ideology, that's what it is, of having like a planned community. And it was kind of like a new thing, because when we moved to Reston in 76, just like Mike Davis, it was about 10 years old, or 9 years old at that time. So it was still quite a work in progress. So me personally, and a lot of people benefited from that, because we had a new high school, we had a fairly new elementary school, and that was conducive to learning. And a brand new Langston Hughes was brand new in 1979 and 80. So those were all like contributing factors, so I could have to rest on Reston. We're not dead, we're just resting.
Talk to me sometime when your voice sounds more like mine. Oh,